Die twee fermentasiewetenskaplikes, Boesie Molloy en Neil Molloy, kuier vanoggend by ons om oor die projek waar hulle sampioene in vloeistof gegroei het te gesels. So once again, I would like to say good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us on die Groot Ontbyt as well.
Thank you very much.
I would also just like to start, I mean, we've spoken about it in Groot Plaas a little bit earlier, but let's just start with Sawubona Mycelium. What exactly is it that your company does, and what is the meaning behind the name as well?
So Sawubona is a Zulu name for a greeting, for saying hello. So for us as a company, it means it's a sign of recognition of a sense of discovery. So the kind of work that we do, we discover molecules that are important in cosmetics or in medicals. So mycelium means we're using mushroom mycelium, which are the roots of the mushroom. So Sawubona mycelium, we discover new things from mushroom mycelium that are important and are of value in the different applications.
And what are fermented mushroom?
So when we say fermented mushroom, actually we're talking about using mycelium in fermentation. So what we do is in a process similar to what people do when they make beer. You know, people make craft beer and big companies, they make beer inside a tank. So instead of growing yeast that is normally grown to produce beer, we grow the roots of mushrooms, or we grow mycelium in a controlled environment inside a fermentation vessel. And then as it grows, then it produces some specific compounds that are of value in cosmetics and in pharmaceuticals and in food, actually. So when we say fermented mushrooms, we're talking about growing the roots of mushroom or mycelia for the production of these compounds.
And then please just explain the process regarding, you know, how mushrooms get into cosmetics and pharma ingredients.
So we use various mushrooms, and different mushrooms are known for specific molecules that are useful in medicine or in cosmetics. So one of the mushrooms that we use produces a compound called beta-glucan, and beta-glucan has been shown to have very good hydrating properties as well as anti-aging properties. So those are the molecules that we look out for, such that we can be able to produce them via fermentation for the cosmetics market.
And you've referred to the different mushrooms, but can you please just elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, so I mean, people, when they hear the word mushroom, I think in everyone's mind, in most people's mind, you think about the white mushroom that you find in a shop that we all enjoy to eat as part of the culinary. But mushrooms actually is quite a wide range, thousands of species that exist, you know, but people are also familiar with oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, reishi mushrooms. I mean, in this country, there's quite also some good indigenous mushrooms that are found in Southern Africa. So we use different species. For example, the species that we've grown at the CSIR is a mushroom called Inokitaki, or the needle mushroom, because it goes into long needles. Quite a valuable mushroom as well in food, especially in the East. But we grow the roots of that mushroom to be able to produce these compounds. And we're also experimenting and we're growing mushrooms such as oyster mushroom, shiitake mushroom, as well as ganoderma mushroom, which is called the reishi mushroom.
Wow, that's very interesting and also very informative. I mean, we didn't know about all of those things, but what is the importance of these ingredients in cosmetics?
So like I mentioned, the one is the beta-glucan, because it has hydrating properties. That you can use it for as a moisturizer, and it also has anti-aging properties, so you can obviously put it into a serum. Neo mentioned one of the mushrooms that we also use that is very good at acne, for example, and for the food market, for example, it is also it's immune booster. I saw earlier on in the program you had a product there, so it can be used in products like that to fortify your, to boost your immune system, so you're more healthy and you're able to resist ailments as you get sick.
So actually quite a lot of things.
Yes, I mean, the mushroom is the extracts or the compounds from mushroom are applicable in quite a lot of industries. So it's really beneficial for many applications.
And what process do you follow to produce these ingredients?
So the process that we follow, firstly, there is a specific type of mushroom that we choose for that application. And there's a specific food formulation that we make. so that we're able to grow this mushroom. And it's in a liquid environment, as we said. So over a period of time, we give it some food, we give it some air, then we continuously sort of mixing it. And after a period of about 10 days, we then are able to separate the how to call it, biomass, or the mass that is grown, and from the product. So then the product, we can either sell it in a jelly form. For example, we've got a sample here, which is a typical sort of a mushroom extract that we've produced. Then you can use this extract for the formulation of cosmetics ingredients. So at the end, we separate the products, and then we can either dry it or we can sell it as a wet product.
And I've tried a little bit of that earlier during Grootplaas, and I have to say my hands still feel very well.
Yeah, it feels smooth as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
So how has the, you know, I've read this and it's also very interesting. How did you team up with the CSIR and how did they help your production?
So where we started working was it's at the TIA Bioprocessing in Durban. So there they have smaller scale fermentation vessels that we use. So now we wanted to test our ability to be able to produce at a higher scale, because once the market takes up and they know about this product, they would want to buy, and then we hope that the demand goes up. So we need to be able to meet that demand. So we're testing a process, and they were helping us develop a process where we are able to scale up to 800 liters versus the 30 liters that we were working on. So that helps us a lot in terms of determining what are the process parameters that we need to apply to be able to produce our product and to be able to be more productive and improve our yield as well.
And I think we've established that South Africa can be quite competitive, you know, in this market or sector as well. But I would just like to refer to the international landscape as well. Do you think there's still a lot more that we can learn from international, you know, companies and also different countries within this regard?
Yeah, no, certainly. Certainly, I think as a country, yes, we are growing and the interest is picking up in terms of applying biotechnology, in terms of applying fermentation. But I think other countries maybe are slightly above the, in front of the curve. So they've done more work in terms of using fermentation as a platform to produce sort of a wider range of products that can be applied in food, in cosmetics and in medicine. So I think as a country, we can still learn a lot. And I think as entrepreneurs and as business people, we can also learn a lot on how to bring those products to market.
What is encouraging, though, is that the South African market is also getting above or are interested in especially bio-based ingredients, because that's a very important, and the consumer is driving that demand, and that is putting pressure on manufacturing as well to look into alternative raw materials for their products to make sure that are not harmful to the customer and are also not harmful to the environment. I mean, we've seen the discussions going on at COP26. So biotech has an opportunity to enable that for South Africa as well, to also enable South African manufacturing industry to be more self-sufficient in terms of raw materials, because we are so much used to importing from the East and abroad most of our ingredients or even finished product. So there's an opportunity for the market to also start their own businesses, knowing that they have reliable raw material supply locally as well.
Anything else that you would like to add now?
No, I think
You think that's covered?
Yes,
No, but I
yes.
think, you know, I would just like you to refer to the possibilities and opportunities a little bit more, because I think that's important, and that also kind of, you know, points out the importance of the research overall.
So the biotech is very broad. It's not just
Yes.
industrial biotech. There's also medical biotech as well. And you've seen with regards to restrictions on COVID. So South Africa had to kind of like step up to produce more products locally or more ingredients locally. So biotech companies locally, especially in the medical field, has been able to produce those ingredients that we would have normally ordered from overseas. So those are the opportunities that you can look into. There's also companies or biotech companies in the space that are also producing alternative foods, because you know that the population is growing. Obviously, the demand of protein is going to be increasing. So there's an opportunity for companies to also look into alternative foods or to improve the quality of fruits that they produce. So those are the opportunities that biotech can offer.
And I'm sure when, you know, considering the future, I mean, we've referred to the CSIR, but I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more partnerships in future within this regard.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
But thank you so much for joining us. I think it was very, like I said, informative and interesting. So I would just like to say again, thank you for joining us on the Groot Ontbyt as well.
Thank you,
Thank
Elsa.
you for hosting us. We really also enjoyed it. Thank you.
Jorna said something about the fact that he wants to steal that jacket. So please just be very careful when you exit the studio. But thank you so much.
Thank
En dit
you.
was dan die twee fermentasiewetenskaplikes, Boesie en Neil Molloy.
Kom ons gaan groot.